Hey everybody, got another video here for you. So as you may or may not know, I recently got a decent amp and a decent middle pedal for the shop here. The amp is a Champion 100 watt with twin 12-inch speakers. It's a combo unit. And the pedal is a Boss Middle Zone Waza. And the pedal's got an EQ on it. And there's bass and treble on the regular channel on the amp. And I've also got a 7-band EQ pedal on the pedal board. And between them all, I get, the shop is small here. It's under 200 square feet. And I like feedback as part of my tone. But with this large amp, I'm having issues with pickup squeal with quadrails. So as you may or may not know, there's the new Agile 10 string. I tend to favor quadrails for my builds. Quadrail. Excuse me. Allergies suck, what can I say? Yeah, so I tend to favor quadrails for my builds, but I discovered that they are not wax potted and have issues with microphonic feedback with when, you know, you've got serious gear going on and serious gain levels going on. So this is guitar 11, and what I did was I took the quadrail that was slated to go in this guitar and I tried to wax pot it, and I did not succeed. I didn't use the crock pot method. I just used a saucepan on a burner, but I didn't really get it hot or anything. I mean, the stuff wasn't smoking or anything like that, but the pickup did not survive. So, this means that, yeah, the quadrails, they're nice, you know, they got a relatively flat output curve, they're pretty high resistance, they seem to be pretty high output, but, and they're pretty high inductance too, but they're not wax potted, and they do have squeal issues at high gain and enclosed spaces with feedback as part of your tone. So I went searching for something that I could buy that was already wax potted, because, you know, if I can get a wax potted something that's about the same output level, then, you know, if it costs $1 or $2 more, that's cool. You know, it saves a lot of futzing around. So, so I got online and I did a search, and I found a replacement pickup. And this is the replacement pickup that I found. It's not a quad rail, it's only a dual rail. It's a full-size humbucker dual rail. It's a high output dual rail. And it's wax potted. And it's rated at 15K plus or minus 5, and this one measured 15.37. But, and okay, by comparison, the quadrails are around 17K. But resistance is all fine and good, but really, if you can put the same LCR meter on two different pickups that you have in your hot little hands, then you can tell more accurately which one's going to be a hotter pickup by reading the inductance rather than the resistance. The reason why pickup companies don't print inductance numbers is because the numbers you get off a meter can depend on the meter. and other circumstances, but mostly, yeah. So it's one of those, 1 watt at 1 meter and 1,000 hertz kind of standards needs to be followed in order to get apples and apples comparisons going on with inductance. So the only really way to tell is to get 2 pickups physically in your hands and use the same meter on both. And then you can get comparative numbers between the 2. And I've done that with both quadrails in the past and with this thing, and I was blown away. The quadrails are like 17 or 18K, and this is only 15.37K. The quadrails are pushing almost 5 henries, like 4.87, 4.93, in that kind of range. But this thing is nuts. Check this out. Quadrail 4.7, dual rail 6.82. Yeah, we're talking, 40% more inductance, something like that. So, very, very impressive. So, going forward, I'm probably going to be using this kind of a pickup and not using the quadrails anymore. And that's actually made me, think about the builds that I still have slated to use quadrails, like this thing right here. That's guitar 11. It was slated for a quadrail that is now in the trash because the leads came off in the process of potting it, the leads to the coil wires. This one over here, the X15, if the quadrails are going to squeal on my gear here, then there's really no use in implementing that pair of pickups on this guitar. So I don't think I'm going to implement them. And, but going even further than that, using the same train of thought and logic, these are basically a high output humbucker. So, and they're a rail as opposed to something that has poles, which is going to have issues with bends and such. So rail is going to be preferred. And so I was thinking that, if I'm not going to do the quadrails, maybe I should do a pair of these dual rail humbuckers. And I was like, well, if I'm doing dual rail humbuckers, I don't really need to do high output humbuckers, and I don't need to do PAFs. Why do PAF? Well, at first I was thinking, why do PAFs when you can just do high output humbuckers? And then I was like, well, yeah, but if you want to be able to get that vintage low output PAF type voicing, you need the low output PAFs, really. So, so that's a good case for that. But high output PAFs versus high output dual rails, it depends. I guess I'd have to put them both in and see what they sounded like. If one's got, a really different voicing than the other, then I suppose. Yeah, it occurred to me that, I said this thing, if you're using, 4-wire humbuckers, this thing's a 4-wire with coil split. If you got 2 4-wire humbuckers in this thing, it gives you 43 voicings altogether. But it occurred to me that that's 43 voicings for each type of humbucker you put in it. So if you put in a Seymour Duncan Nazgul and Sentinel, I think is the neck pickup, you're going to get one set of 43 voicings. If you put in a set of vintage PAFs, you'll get a different set of 43 voicings. If you put in a pair of these high output dual rails, you probably get yet another set of 43 voicings that's distinct from those other 2 types of pickups as well. So, but on this guitar here, and I'm kind of going a little off topic. It occurred to me that the practicality of this thing really is a little overkill, sort of. Best use would be for like session musicians or home studio recording, where instead of buying 10 guitars, you could get 1 guitar and 10 pickups, and it would cost less. And or if you were performing live and, you know, wanted a wide range of voicings from song, between one song and the next kind of a thing, that'd be another practical use for this type of thing. A certain coolness factor in just being able to like swap out an Nazgul and put in something else. That would be another reason. Just the general novelty of being able to switch pickups is another reason. But other than that, you know, most people are going to have like a preferred set that they're going to want to more or less leave in it all the time. I'm thinking that's the way most players are. So yeah, very cool concept, but not necessarily, you know, the do-all and the end-all guitar for everybody, even though it will do everything for everybody. So, yeah, you might label this to be a little bit on in the way of overkill for the average bear, so to speak. I mean, if you're a hardcore session musician, something like this could really be useful, I would think, because, you know, anytime you want it, you just go get whatever pickups you wanted and just slap them on some basses and wire up a JST and add it to your collection of pickups for the guitar. Or, you know, if I was building this as a production unit, you can simply call up the shop and say, hey, I want a set of these. And we'd be like, no problem. We'll have them ready in a week or whatever. That kind of thing. But, yeah, so I'm not so sure about the practicality of, now, it's practical, but it's not practical for everybody. I guess that's a good way to put it. Not everybody's cup of tea. Not everybody needs it. Yeah. I'm sure there are some people who would think it'd be very cool and it'd be neat to have, but there's, you know, there's what you want and there's what you need. So, yeah. The X15 is probably more than most people need, I would think. So, but like I said, I'm going off topic here now. So, really, I just wanted to give you a heads up on the squeal and no wax potting issue on the high output quadrails. And if you do search around, you'll find suitable replacements. This particular pickup, now watch, I'm going to tell everybody they're going to sell out at Amazon and I won't be able to get pickups to finish my builds. Okay, here we go. It's a SAPHUE, or however you say it, SHAPHUE, those guys. It was like, I don't know, $16, something like that. Yeah, I think the quads are like 18, this is like 16, something like that. And it was off of Amazon with Prime delivery. So, yeah. So, yeah, there you go. These suckers are headed for 7 Henrys. Yeah, they're just south of 7 Henrys, so that's nuts. That's like the highest impedance pickup I've ever seen, to tell you the truth, probably, since I got this LCR meter. So yeah, go shopping. Everybody, have a good one. Okay, I think that's going to do it for this video. So, until the next one, everybody, have a good one.